Merci tout le monde. Thank you for being here. I just gave my speech to convention, had a nice chat afterwards, and really excited about the opportunities. We have shown throughout the pandemic that despite how difficult times have been, we have fought for people and we have won significant victories to make people's lives better. The only opposition party to have led and won fights for people, and we are going to continue to do that. And our message to Canadians is, if you want someone on your side that's going to fight for you when times are tough, it's New Democrats. And the more New Democrats you elect, the better it is for Canadians. Donc, je suis tellement heureux que j'ai eu la chance de partager quelques mots avec les membres de notre mouvement et les militants. C'était une excellente opportunité, donc je suis tellement fier de ça. Et ce qu'on a dit et ce que je veux dire à tout le monde, c'est le fait que pendant ces pandémies, pendant ces temps difficiles, c'était les néo-démocrates, le seul parti qui a avancé et gagné des victoires significantes pour les gens. Et on va continuer de faire ça. Et j'exige toute la population que si vous voulez avoir quelqu'un de votre bord qui se bat pour vous, c'est nous les néo-démocrates. On a déjà fait ça, on va continuer de faire ça. Ça va être une meilleure situation pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes avec plus de néo-démocrates. Avec ça, je suis prêt pour vos questions. With that, I'm ready for your questions.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Alors, pour les membres des médias, si vous avez une question, veuillez s'il vous plaît utiliser la fonction lever la main. For members of the media, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function to ask a question and follow up. On va commencer avec Catherine Lévesque avec la presse canadienne. C'est à vous.
Oui, bonjour, Monsieur Singh. Tout d'abord, merci de tenir cette conférence de presse. Ce ne sont pas tous les chefs politiques qui l'ont fait. Vous parlez sur Twitter d'un congrès du NPD formidable. Or, vos délégués ont été très frustrés en fin de semaine de la façon dont le congrès s'est déroulé. Je me demandais si le fait de dire que le congrès était formidable n'est pas peut-être un peu déconnecté de votre part.
Non, non, pas du tout. On avait des problèmes techniques, mais ça, c'est la vie avec les réunions virtuelles. Mais en général, on avait un bon débat, des bonnes résolutions et on a montré comment les néo-démocrates étaient là pour les gens. On a gagné des victoires spécifiques et significantes pour les gens et on va continuer de faire ça. Et toute la partie est unie pour continuer cette bataille pour aider les gens.
Excusez-moi. Je pense que bon, ce n'était pas juste des problèmes techniques. Je pense qu'il y avait des problèmes d'organisation et d'accessibilité, notamment, qui étaient revendiqués par les membres. Mais bon, mon autre question, c'est sur votre discours. Donc, on comprend que vous avez livré des attaques envers les libéraux. Vous vous en êtes pris aux conservateurs aussi, mais vous avez ignoré le Bloc québécois. Je me demandais quel message est-ce que vous envoyez actuellement? Pourquoi est-ce que vous avez ignoré le Bloc dans vos attaques?
Hier, dans son discours, notre ancien vice-président Hans Marat a dit, il a partagé ces mots, il a dit que le Bloc aime parler du Québec, mais c'est les néo-démocrates qui défendent les Québécois et Québécoises, qui se battent pour les Québécois et Québécoises. Donc, effectivement, comme j'ai dit, c'était nous, le seul parti en opposition qui a vraiment réussi à atteindre des gains spécifiques et concrets pour aider tout le monde, incluant les Québécois et Québécoises. On est le seul. Et on va continuer de montrer aux Québécois et Québécoises et au reste du Canada que c'était nous qui se bat pour vous. Si vous voulez quelqu'un de votre bord, c'est nous.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Next, I have David Aiken with Global News. Please go ahead.
Mr. Aiken.
Here we are. I'm in. You can hear me? Good. Good to hear. Yes. Good to see you. Listen, we saw those ads debut. The ads were played just ahead of your speech, of course, the new TV ads. And there's both a positive part of the ad. They talk about you and your party, and there is your critique, obviously, the governing Liberals. Maybe you could just tell us what you hope a viewer of that ad, what you'd like them to take away.
Certainly, I want Canadians to know that in this difficult time, in this pandemic, we have fought consistently to make life better for Canadians. And we have many examples of how the Conservatives have sided with the ultra-rich. They voted against pharmacare. They voted against taking profit out of long-term care. They voted against taxing the ultra-rich. They've shown again and again whose side they're on. We're on the side of people, and we've done so much, and there's so much more that we can do to make life better for people with concrete proposals, medication coverage for all, making sure people are supported in this pandemic, making sure small businesses are supported, and making sure it's the ultra-wealthy that pay their fair share. So those are the messages we want people to know. We're on their side. And the Liberals have shown again and again that they've sided with the ultra-wealthy on really specific and serious issues.
Listening, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to Premier Horgan's message yesterday, but I did note he articulated a frustration I've often heard from the Democrats over many, many years, in which he said, and I'm just going to sort of quote back a bit of it. He said, "Let's say to those parties that like to campaign as New Democrats, get out of the way, we're already here." And I note that a couple hours after that, you saw at the Liberal Convention, the top two policy priorities for grassroots Liberals are, lo and behold, national pharmacare and a universal basic income. Do you see that happening again? You're going to see the Liberals again trying to essentially mow New Democrats' lawns?
Well, we've seen Liberals do this historically. That's kind of the ongoing problem, that they say one thing and they don't do it. And with pharmacare, what's really striking is this is a 24-year-old promise that they continue to break. They had an opportunity not too long ago to vote on our motion, which, just to remind folks, was literally what was recommended by their own commission report, a step that their own report recommended. So we put that forward, they voted against it. They've shown time and time again that they're not actually interested in getting done. They just want to talk about it. And with income supports, we put forward really clear proposals, increasing support to people living with disabilities, increasing income supports directly to seniors as a concrete way to start in getting an income support for people to lift them out of poverty. The Liberals have not supported those initiatives. So they can talk about it, it seems like, but they don't actually do it. And that's really what I'm putting to Canadians, that you don't deserve someone that just talks about it. You need someone who's actually going to do it. And we've shown that we do it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next, David Thurton with the CBC. Please go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Singh, thank you so much. Enjoying the convention,
Thank you.
even though it's virtual.
Yes.
I guess I just want to ask you, you're facing the leadership review. We should get the results in a couple of hours. All indications show that you're going to do well. You never know, though.
Cross my fingers. That's what I hope.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I'm just wondering if you've been reflecting over the last couple of hours on your years as leader of the NDP. How would you rate your performance? What are the things you need to work on? What are like some of your resolutions that you want to improve upon? And why should party members say that, yeah, we, give you a high score?
Folks always give me hard questions to get me thinking. I appreciate it very much. No, I have been thinking about it. That's why I was kind of joking about that. It is something that I reflect on, and I always want to improve as a leader. I always want to find ways to do better. I think one of the things that's come up in this convention that I want to acknowledge, people raise concerns around people with disabilities not having access, and I think we need to do a far better job of making sure all spaces are inclusive, and that's something that I've made a commitment. I mentioned it earlier after the speech in one of the questions I received, that it's a commitment I make to making sure spaces are more inclusive, and that's something that I think it has to happen and I take very seriously. But overall, I'm proud of the work that my team and I have done. I've got to highlight, I did this with a team. I have an incredible team around me of 24 MPs that fought hard, that supported me, as well as an incredible staff team around me. And we've done something pretty special in this past year in a pandemic. The victories that we've gained for people, the increases to supports that have directly made life better for people are probably amongst the most historic that any opposition party has ever gained. And I give a lot of credit to my incredible MPs, to my team around me, and fighting hard for people. And I'm proud of the work we've done so far. Lots more to do, though. I'm not resting on my laurels at all. Lots more to do.
I wanted to ask you about something that you brought up in your speech. It was about tackling climate change, and just words to the effect that the Liberals have exempted big polluters. What did you mean specifically by that? What are the exemptions that we're talking about? Because they aren't exempt. They do have to, as the government says, polluting isn't free. Whether you're a Canadian or a big business in this country, there is stuff that they have to abide by.
Well, what I'm speaking to about specifically is the price on pollution that the Liberals have proposed. Their plan specifically exempts over 90% some of the biggest polluters. So their plan in and of itself exempts the biggest polluters, on top of having bought a pipeline, on top of continuing to subsidize fossil fuel sector. So they made a big deal, the Liberals made a big deal of the Conservatives not believing in the climate crisis. And I wanted to point out, well, the Liberals don't act like there's a climate crisis. They talk about it, certainly, but they don't act like it, and their actions are the opposite.
Thank you very much. Next, j'ai Laurence Martin avec Radio-Canada. C'est à vous.
Bonjour.
Ah, ben, ça va aider si je me mets pas en sourdine.
OK.
Bonjour. OK, alors,
Oui.
qu'est-ce que vous répondez? Qu'est-ce que vous répondez aux gens?
C'est toujours le problème avec tous les trucs virtuels. Hein?
Je sais. On dirait
Je
que
le fais souvent.
on dirait que c'est une reprise de votre congrès. En tout cas, désolé.
C'est juste, c'est pas injuste.
Qu'est-ce que vous répondez aux gens qui disent que votre parti a peu de chances d'être élu parce que vous vous campez de plus en plus à gauche?
Non, je ne rejette pas cette proposition parce que quand je parle avec les gens, et je parle avec les gens souvent, virtuellement, j'étais au Québec, j'ai parlé avec les gens dans les rues, et quand je parle avec les gens, ce qu'ils soulèvent comme des inquiétudes, ils parlent de la crise de logement, ils parlent de le fait que c'est difficile d'acheter des médicaments. Quelques jeunes personnes avec lesquelles j'ai parlé, ils ont parlé de santé mentale. Les enjeux qui touchent les gens, pour vrai, sont exactement les enjeux qu'on veut régler. Et on a des plans concrets pour les régler. Donc, à plusieurs exemples, on a vu que exactement ce que affecte les gens sont les problèmes qu'on doit régler. Et c'est en reconnaissant ça que je vois il y a un besoin de nous comme parti et de notre offre aux gens.
Et puis, deuxième question, est-ce que vous êtes déçu du faible nombre de résolutions qui ont pu être votées, en fait, sur lesquelles il y a pu avoir des votes là, durant le Congrès? Parce que pour l'instant, on n'est même pas à une dizaine de résolutions, là.
Oui, c'est un défi. J'aime les débats, j'aime l'idée d'avoir plus de résolutions. C'est toujours un défi avec un grand nombre de gens, comment on peut avoir le débat, mais aussi les résolutions. Une grande différence entre nous et les autres partis, on croit fermement dans le droit d'avoir un débat. Donc, on a beaucoup des heures de débat en comparaison avec les autres partis parce qu'on veut entendre les gens et leurs inquiétudes, leurs idées, leurs propos. Donc, je suis fier de ça, mais avec cet avantage de prioriser le débat, on a un désavantage, moins de résolutions. Donc, c'est un défi, quelque chose sur lequel on va continuer de travailler, mais je reconnais que c'est un défi.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Next, I have Chris Reynolds with the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
One of the questions I had was about some party frustrations throughout the course of the convention, not so much about glitches and delays, but about more substantial policy issues. I know that there were some members of the party, including a former federal candidate, who have been criticizing the party for suggesting police are the right way to go with more funding for certain programs when it comes to reducing hate and fighting hate crimes. There's also been criticism that the party isn't going far enough on green issues, for example, giving John Horgan in BC a bit of a pass. I guess I'm wondering, to what extent are you concerned that there is discord or frustration within the party that it's not going far enough to the left?
No, I'm not concerned about that. I know that there is a strong unity within New Democrats and in this convention around the fact that we fought and won really significant victories for people, made people's lives better, helped students out, helped families out, kept people employed, helped in a really significant way a lot of people, and that we've got a strong commitment to continuing that support with universal social programs, things that will help people out in their day-to-day life, making sure people don't have to worry about the cost of medication, making sure that we've got a recovery that focuses on women that have been hard hit by this pandemic. A lot of the convention resolutions are exactly what we need to do to make life better for people, and there's a strong unity around The fact that New Democrats are focused on what's going to help people, the big question about who pays for this, we're the only party that's boldly saying it should be the ultra-rich who pay their fair share. So we've laid out a really broad and bold vision around how we can build a better Canada, and there's a strong unity behind that.
Right. It's true that most resolutions pass with 95% support or more, despite those voices of dissent. Like on one of those resolutions, I wanted to ask you, one of the resolutions that passed with 80% support was a call for, I guess it was halting trade with Israeli settlements in occupied territories and also suspending arms dealing with Israel. I'm wondering if you support that resolution and if that will form part of a potential campaign platform.
Yeah, that resolution, based on a lot of evidence that we've heard from international human rights groups that say that we need to apply pressure to achieve a solution of two states, independent, peaceful solution that will give Palestinians the right to exist with dignity and respect and allow Israel to continue to exist with respect and dignity, that to achieve that, some pressure is required. And that's something that I support, that to achieve a peaceful resolution, we need to, as an international community, use our tools to achieve that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next, I have Mary Brooke with the Island Social Trends. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Singh.
Hi there.
I'm looking at how your party's starting to ramp up toward the eventual federal election campaign, and you've done your first big TV ad.
That's
and
right.
I'm just wondering, I hear that the budget so far, how much money the NDP has brought in for this campaign is pretty much almost double what you had for 2019. So I'm just wondering how you have been able to achieve that and whether you'll be able to build more financial momentum for the campaign.
Yes, I'm really proud. Our team did a great job. Our national director, current national director, Anne McGrath, our previous national director, Melissa Bruno, and an entire team of people have worked really hard to get us to this position. We paid off our previous election debt. We actually still had some 2015 debt left over, and we paid off our 2019 debt. So we paid off our debt. We showed Canadians that we were fighting for them, and I think people showed their appreciation with increased donations. And we built on that momentum that we are fighting for people, we can make life better, and translated that into great financial support. So I'm honored and thankful, and we'll continue to build on that momentum to let folks know that you can dream bigger. We can imagine a better Canada, and we've got some real concrete ways to achieve that. And I'm really thankful for all the support we've gotten. I don't want the support to stop, though, so keep it coming.
Okay, and it sounds like this weekend you've been challenged a bit by your own delegates there about economic policies that perhaps they're not strong enough. But listening to it from the outside in, your package sounds pretty dynamic, of like the sick leave takes care of workers, the pharmacare takes care of the health end of things, getting the profit out of long-term care deals with the seniors. So these are economic pieces that you're not necessarily delivering in a budget tone, but really overall seem to be presenting or proposing a change in the economic way that Canada does things or would do things. So how do you keep your own party faithful on the path of seeing the depth of what you're doing?
Well, that's exactly it. I really want to frame this as our economic solution. Like, investing in people is an economic decision. And I think, and this is really pertinent, we've seen in the past two approaches coming out of a crisis. We have seen companies, or we've seen countries, cut support to people, and we've seen the outcome of that. When you cut support to people out of a crisis, economic inequality grows, things get worse, it's harder for people. And we've seen the opposite. We've seen out of a crisis, countries choose to invest in people, and that is a strong economic driver. So we're making the case that when people are struggling with their health, when people, our loved ones in long-term care are struggling, that if we invest in caring for them, this is an investment in a type of economy that is better for everyone, that is going to lift up the people that need support. And we also talk about how to pay for a lot of these initiatives and these investments by asking the ultra-wealthy to pay their fair share, something that is also widely supported by Canadians. So we're putting forward a vision of the economy where we invest in our workers, invest in the health of people, care for our seniors, as an economic stimulus that'll also create great jobs, but create a better economy that works for everyone, not just for those at the top. And that's really what we're making, the case we're making to Canadians. We've got an economic vision that's focused on people and supporting them.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of the page. Si vous avez une question, veuillez, s'il vous plaît, utiliser la fonction lever la main au bas de la page. Next, I have John Ibbotson with the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Singh.
Hey, sir. It's been a long time since I got a question from you.
Indeed. The resolution on Israel yesterday was swiftly and strongly condemned by Jewish groups here in Canada. Are you not concerned that that resolution opens you up to charges of anti-Semitism?
No, I've shown a really strong commitment to fighting anti-Semitism. I'm committed to that. I strongly believe in Israel's right to exist, and I have raised concerns about criticism that could be characterized as anti-Semitism, and I'm aware of that. What we raised what the policy convention resolution was one that talks about doing what international human rights groups have said, that applying pressure will help in establishing a peaceful resolution, a two-state solution that respects the rights of Palestinians. And so applying pressure is something that international human rights groups have recommended.
Nonetheless, anti-Semitism exists on the left as well as on the right. Jeremy Corbyn has been suspended from the caucus of the Labour Party because he failed as leader to confront anti-Semitism within his own party. How do you assure Jewish Canadians and all Canadians that the NDP is not, with this resolution, catering to those elements within the left that, frankly, are anti-Semitic in nature?
I want folks to know from the bottom of my heart, I understand that hate is like a fire. Once allowed to take hold, it spreads. I'm very unapologetically aware of the fact that anti-Semitism exists in all spectrums of politics. And I am vigilantly aware of that, and I'm going to be someone you can count on to fight against any form of anti-Semitism. I've shown that again and again with my commitments. I believe in justice and human rights. I strongly oppose anti-Semitism. And as someone who's experienced racism, I know that it doesn't take much for it to expand beyond the way someone looks, to someone's gender, to someone's color of skin, to someone's sexuality, to someone's religion. And it is a very dangerous slope. So we've got to be vigilant at all times. And there is really clearly a rise of anti-Semitism that I'm painfully aware of. And I want to be an ally to the Jewish community to fight against it.
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Next, I have Alex Bilingual with the Toronto Star. Please go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, how's it going? I think it's pretty fair to say you're...
Oh, I lost you there. I was going to make a joke about you giving me competition on TikTok, because I saw your recent TikTok. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Okay. Well, no, I can't compete with that. No, I was saying I think it's fair to say that you're a positive guy. That speech was quite an attack-heavy speech, and this isn't new. But I guess you're not only are you questioning the Liberal government's policies, you're questioning their intentions by saying they're not in it for you, they're in it for the ultra-rich. Are you worried that engaging in that tone that you could contribute to I guess the further degradation of what a lot of people would see as our negative political discourse?
You're right. I'm a positive person. I love what I do, fighting for people, standing up for people. And so it's really important to me to keep that positive spirit. But I want to make the case to Canadians. So they are going eyes open into the election, whenever it's called. And I want them to see the pattern of behavior. It is important for people to note there is no other conclusion when the Liberals vote against pharmacare, against taking profit out of long-term care, and against a motion that says we need to tax the ultra-wealthy. Each one of those votes states a value. It states that they're in favor of big pharma, that they're in favor of profits in long-term care, and that they're in favor of the ultra-rich continuing to have massive wealth. Those aren't just by chance, those are values, those are value votes. And I want Canadians to know that the Liberals have a certain set of values and a behavior that's a pattern that's been repeated. On climate crisis, they were more excited about calling out the Conservatives for not believing in climate crisis than actually doing anything about it. Like they had almost a glee in the fact that the Conservatives don't believe in it, but what is their track record on fighting the climate crisis? They exempt the biggest polluters, they continue to subsidize fossil fuel sectors, and they've bought a pipeline. So it's important for Canadians to know the difference and make a contrast based on the decisions that they made. is very different from just mudslinging, which we often see the Conservatives get into, where they just attack for attack's sake. I want to make the choice really clear, and I want Canadians to know when they choose us, this is what they're getting. If they want to look at the Liberals, this is what they're getting. And I want to make that choice really clear.
Just, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, just on the leadership review vote, I think, I don't have it right in front of me anymore, but I think you got like 90% or 91% in 2018 in the last convention. Do you have a bar for yourself that you would, if you don't clear it, you'd be disappointed? What result do you want? Like, do you have a number in mind that you would be happy with?
Now you're getting me thinking about my mom, and if I came home with a test, which was like anything less than an A, she'd be like, where's the rest of the marks? And then I would be stressed out, so I'd have to go and study some more. Whatever the membership decides, I know that we've done a really good job fighting for people, and I'm confident that the membership is going to value that work that we've done as a team and that I've done as leader. So I'm happy with whatever they give me. I think it'll be good though, but you never know what's going to happen. So we'll wait and see. Well, I'm waiting just alongside you.
I'm sorry, Jagmeet. We've been asked to repeat the answer for Alex's first question in French, if possible.
Yeah, I just forget what the first question was. Oh yes, I do remember the first question. Okay. Oui, je suis un gars positif. J'aime être toujours optimiste. Je suis optimiste. Je savoir les défis. J'ai fait mon bac en sciences et j'étais avocat, donc je comprends les preuves et je n'ignore pas la réalité, mais je suis toujours optimiste et positif. Je pense que c'est important. Mais avec le contraste avec les libéraux, je le fais en reconnaissant les faits. Ce n'est pas comme des conservateurs font souvent les mudslinging, les attaques seulement pour faire les attaques. C'est un contraste pour montrer les options aux Canadiens et Canadiennes. Et c'est important que les Canadiens et Canadiennes, les Québécois et Québécoises savent les options. Donc, avec 3 votes que les libéraux ont fait, ils ont voté contre une assurance médicaments universelle. Ils ont voté contre l'idée d'enlever les profits du centre des soins de longue durée. Ils ont voté contre notre motion pour faire payer le juste part des ultra-riches. Donc, tous ces 3 exemples, c'est exemples où les libéraux ont choisi les ultra-riches, les grandes compagnies pharmaceutiques, les ultra-riches, les centres de soins de longue durée à but lucratif, ils ont choisi les ultra-riches au lieu des gens, au lieu de nos aînés, au lieu des familles qui ont de la misère à acheter des médicaments. Ils ont encore choisi les ultra-riches au lieu des gens. Et je veux montrer ça parce que c'est important pour les Canadiens de faire un choix dans l'élection. N'importe quand on a une élection, mais ils ont le droit de faire un choix basé sur les faits. Et je veux souligner le fait qu'on était toujours là pour se battre pour monsieur, madame, tout le monde, pour les gens, pour les familles, pour les travailleurs et travailleuses. Et les libéraux ont souvent choisi les autres riches au lieu des gens.
Merci beaucoup. Unfortunately, this is all the time that we have. Nous allons devoir conclure la conférence de presse. Alors, merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Merci, thank you.